Okay, my name is Zakashi, guys, and in this video here we are coming back with another hot take video. I know you guys love these hot take videos. Some of you guys leave some hot takes in the comment section below, but if you do want to be included in the next hot take video, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. It's Zakashi with 3 eyes. When I make a tweet, I'll post it in the Discord server as well and on the YouTube community section, so you can be aware that I'm doing a hot take video. Then you can go ahead to Twitter, leave your reply to the tweet I made, and you might be included in the next hot take video. I tweeted this after Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta released. I'm kind of following up on it late, but of course we're still going to get to it because there are some interesting takes here. I made this tweet here. It says, drop a hot take and I will potentially use it for an upcoming video. You don't have to believe it. I always like to reiterate this because a hot take is just something that goes against the grain in most cases. You can believe it if you want, but you don't have to. It could just be a statement that could fight the masses, but somewhat be true. I'll go first. Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku would not have been anywhere near hype enough to be the 6th anniversary Ultra. I missed out a word there, but it is what it is. Now, some people saw this as, well, that's common sense. Gogeta had to be the Ultra. And then some people saw this like, no way. Super Saiyan 4 Goku would have been amazing. Even with the art I showed in the tweet that somebody made, I don't know the original source. I'm sorry. But the point is, there's two sides of the coin and people see very, very differently. That tells me that you have a good hot take. Anyways, that's just to get the video started with an example. Let's get into the hot takes in this video. So we got a hot take from BLZ151101. Love this guy. He has like 50% of the thumbnails on my channel at this point. His arts are amazing. I have permission, of course, but cool. He says he was the cause of most problems in the meta and he has fixed most of them without further damaging it. So Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is the problem and Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is the fix without damaging it. In my opinion, this is a good hot take, and I think it's mostly agreeable. I can immediately say it's mostly agreeable. Now, let me say why. Immediately, some people might be like, whoa, no way you agree with this. But let me actually start with the fixing it without damaging it. So we're going to start with G4. G4 here has hard reset the meta. He is so powerful that he's made it that no matter what you have on your team, endurance, revival, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're using will still get nuked by this guy. You have a revival unit that's not Golden Frieza because he's come back, but people haven't been using him anyways because of the team matters. This guy here will ult you and you will come back with 70% less health, which is insane. This guy here breaks combos 3 times because of his counter gauge untouchable. I like calling it untouchable. It's not called that, but that's why I just like calling it. And obviously he's insane for multiple reasons, such as his green card, his blue card getting vanished back. He goes type neutral a lot. He heals a bunch. If you're not using this guy though, I will say you're struggling. You need this guy to survive. But it's the anniversary, so most people are going to have this guy anyways. I'd say probably 70% of people have this guy, and that's even lowballing it. If you don't have this guy, most people are like reroll accounts or whatever, but I don't advise doing that. So in most cases, you're going to be fighting this guy, but at the same time, he's made it so that everything's so balanced now, as long as you're using him. If you're not using him, I would argue that this take is terrible. So I could see both sides of this hot take. But let's go to Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, he came at a point where we just didn't need a Son family unit. And on top of that, the best Son family unit in the game type unit. This guy with his anti-blast cards, explosive green, endurance adding on top of that. Last stand menace, he gets his vanish back. Like his counter, his blue card counter. It's like, bro, you don't need all these features, you know, to run the game. And they just gave him all these features and he ran the game. And it's kind of like, bro. On top of the timing of it, bro, like, come on, man. You didn't need to release, especially at that time. It was just very bad timing more than anything else. I feel like if he releases now, he would obviously be downplayed a lot because G4 exists. But maybe he would have the featured boost, so it might help him. But he would obviously be releasing at a terrible time then because he would have all these broken mechanics, but be second to G4 somewhat. But maybe the bias because it's a Gohan would make him overshine. But he's been in the game for a minute now, so when he was in his prime, it was terrible bad timing for every other unit in the meta. Everybody was saving for the anniversary, so people didn't want to summon as well, and it made it hard to actually push through without forcefully having to summon on this guy, which it's a Gohan, so you're probably going to summon anyways. But G4 in the middle of the anniversary, or the end of the anniversary, sorry, it's just, you know, savior. He's saving everybody. He's freeing everybody from the curses of Son family. And I appreciate G4 for that. This is a very agreeable take in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I could see the other side as well, as I did talk about it earlier, but I think this is very agreeable. For sure, we're giving this one the green light, man, the green light. We got a take from Dugoat here. It says, SV will outage every Annie unit by a country mile. Now, if you're asking me, this isn't really a hot take. Rising Rushes are immortal. They've been in the game since the start. They're going to be in the game to the end. Unless they somehow release a developer's patch that nerfs Rising Rushes, like what we've been dreaming for, 1 Rising Rushes per game. This isn't a hot take. It's agreeable, but it's not really a hot take. People are so in denial of like letting Vegito be a top 3 unit with his Rising Rush mechanic. They try to say, oh, without his Rising Rush, he's bang average, which he's still not. But let's say he even is. Do you know how hard of a downplay when his whole kit is fixed around Dragon Balls and Rising Rushes? That's basically taking out everybody's core mechanics out of the game, then saying they're bad. Like, it's such a stupid argument to have. I just don't think this is a hot take. This is just a basic take, but it's agreeable. I don't feel like, maybe the country mile part, like, it's gonna be by that far. I still don't think it's a hot take regardless. Maybe this makes it a hot take, but I don't think it's a hot take because of the country mile. The country mile part might make it a hot take, but without that, it's like bang average. But I agree with it. I think most people will agree with it too. We got a take from Playbox here. Super Vegito's Rising Rush is not that toxic. I have to read the reply. When I'm applying for the fusing Super Vegito meat riding defense task force and my opponent is Playbox, you're not getting hired, bro. I'm not gonna lie, this is a glazed tweet. Anything that allows you, how can you see the Rising Rush of death? When I say of death, it's because you can't survive it. The only way you're surviving it is if you're Rising Rushing a green unit point blank that also cancels buffs or something. It's like, bro, on cover change, SV goes type neutral, so he's gonna kill, you know? It's like, bro, how can you, bro, this is a disagreeable take. This is a disagreeable take. It's got me. It's obviously top two most toxic mechanics in the game, because you're guaranteed to take somebody out. It's guaranteed top 2 mechanics in the game. Just because it gets countered doesn't mean it's not like toxic. It's still mad toxic, gang. Yo, not that toxic. Bro, I've Rising Rushed in a game one time. I Rising Rushed 3 times with fusing Super Vegito, and there was still 80 timer counts left. Tell me how that worked. Okay, that dragged it. It was like 40. But still, that's crazy. 3 Rising Rushes and there's 40 timer counts left. Hey, man, fusing Super... Hey, this is disagreeable, man. Let's move on. We got a hot take here from the Murderer _YT. Hot take. Despite all of us wanting G4, Margin Vegeta would have been a much better timed Ultra release, not only to aid Vegeta Clan and Buu Saga, but to give others teams shines instead of same old fusions and SF buffs every celebration. Son Family, I'm so stupid. Son Family buffs every celebration. Now, I think this is an agreeable take if you ignore the hype factor. If you're not thinking about hype and you're actually a good developer, you know, and you're thinking, woo, actually it's not even about being a good developer. It's just about the PvP aspect. I think at the highest branch of PvP, people want some variety. They want it to be somewhat balanced. They want it to be options in PvP that you could use, and I feel like Margin Vegeta would aid that very perfectly. Now, if that's all you care about, then I guess this is an agreeable take. But I feel like the common ground for most of the players know that hype is the leading factor. If they drop an Ultra Margin Vegeta, it's gonna look cool, but it's gonna be mid hype wise. That's just the truth. You can deny it all you want, but the overwhelming majority of the player base will not be as hyped for Ultra Margin Vegeta in comparison to a Fusion Warrior. I don't know why people are so like, I'm not saying Murderer in this case, but he's just making the statement, but people in general are so much against the typical Fusion Warrior release. You're acting like Dragon Ball hasn't been copy and pasting the same thing through different games for the past like 50,000 years, bro. And we still eat it up. Why? Because we love the franchise. So the same old Fusion Warrior argument doesn't hit for me. They're going to drop fusions in Sparking Zero. They've been dropping fusions in all the Budokai Tenkaichi series. They dropped it in Fire Zeros, Xenoverse. They're doing it in Legends, Dokkan Battle. They're just copy and pasting. It's the blueprint infinite money glitch of death. You just gotta accept it for what it is. For hype factors, it's not cooking. It's not cooking. Let it just be a Fusion Warrior so we can all know what's gonna be lit. And, you know, it is what it is. Margin Vegeta is not that. But if you're thinking about the state of the highest ranked PvP or PvP in general, then I could hear it. But people don't just play for PvP, believe it or not. Probably think, what? Who plays Dragon Ball Legends for anything apart from PvP? A lot of people are just collectors. A lot of people play PvE, you know, believe it or not. But that's actually the case. Some people don't go past BL30 because they just don't care that much about competitive, you know. There's a lot of players that just here to collect their favorite characters, and most of the time it's going to be the most hype character. So I think this is overall disagreeable because hype comes first for a celebration. On top of thinking that, like, imagine it's your birthday. It's your birthday, right? And then you wanted, I don't know, a PS5. But you know, if you got a slow running HP laptop that will help you with your university coursework or your college homework, you know, that would help you with your whole life because it's efficient and it helps you get through. But that PS5 is the hype factor. Do you get it? That's what I'm comparing Margin Vegeta to. That might sound like crazy downplay, but if you use your common sense, the analogy makes sense. It's the fact that we're not arguing efficiency versus hype here. And I feel like for the anniversary, it's their birthday, we're going to do something hype, full stop. So I think this is a disagreeable take for that reason. We got a take here from OMSDBL. Ultimate Gohan individually is one and will age out the best out of all of the Ani units. Ultimate Gohan, Ultimate Gohan, Ultimate Gohan. I honestly have to disagree with this take very easily as well. For one, we spoke about Vegito earlier in this video, so I'm not even going to have to mention him too deeply. But for two, this guy's already seeming super glass, and unless he has an amazing partner by his side, he's not even juiced on his teams, which is obviously good. Unless he has an amazing partner, like when Majin Buu Evil, for that couple week period or 2 week period that Majin Buu Evil was his best friend on Majin Buu Saga, it was like, yo, this guy's a monster. But ever since that Majin Buu Saga has been ripped apart because of UG4 single-handedly, it's like, bro, this guy is not aging the best. Individually, is he number one? Still no. Because this guy here will get one comboed by UG4. He can also one combo UG4 if UG4 didn't have his counter. So individually, number one, that's just wrong. Fair enough, he has his endurance, uncancelable endurance or whatever, unbreakable endurance, whatever you want to call it. But you will still break through that easily without the need of blue cards with UG4. Super Vegito could probably get through it as well without if he has draw speed, you know. He does have quite a bit of draw speed as well. So I think both of these are just disagreeable. I think most people would disagree with this take as well. It's not that Ultimate Gohan's bad. It's just like, number one individually, I can't agree with that. And age the best, he's already aging poorly, in my opinion. Defensive wise, yes. Offense, he's top class though. I'll give him that. We got a take here from Rico. I think that says Ricochet GFX. I always pronounce it wrong, but then it could be Rico X Het, you know. I'm just not gonna speak anymore. We got presenting the Ultras trailer directly was a mistake. Showing it near the end of the reveals is always more hype. They started with the UG4 trailer, so they showed us the cars drifting and whatnot. I think this is, it's a neutral take. I don't think it's disagreeable or agreeable, but I do think that because they started with the Ultra reveal, that a lot of people might just click off instantly once they know what it is, you know? As a content creator, I think that's how I would perceive it. But with the fact that they announced it like breaking news, get to see what it is, you want to see it live, that could also adjust. It's the way they advertise the reveals and stuff this time, knowing that at the start, it's going to be a big reveal immediately, straight in, bang, you know? So, I'm not going to disagree or agree with this take. I could see both ways being hype. I enjoyed the UG4 reveal, starting off with the hype, and then I'm cooling down the whole reveal, listening to what they have to say. I also often feel like when they do it near the end that I'm just watching a lot of like explanation for what I'm not really here for. I am still here for all the events and stuff, but like we will see the events in game, you know. We're here for the reveals at the end of the day. So would you rather sit through 20 minutes just to see 3 minutes of a reveal of a character, Or then would you rather just see the 3 minutes straight away than have like 20 more minutes of like just events and stuff like that? I don't know. I think it can go either way. It just depends on the person. I don't feel like this is like a one-way beats the other all the time. But for viewing aspect, we still did get the 500cc, so it didn't really change a thing. So I'm just going to say it's neutral, you know. It can go either way. We got a take here from 9glow6. He says, coping LFGB in part 1 was delusional. It only worked out in later parts because the devs introduced more units with counter gauges or purples with low defenses. The devs have created mechanics in the past where units weak to those mechanics don't show up until months later. GB got lucky that didn't happen to him. I agree with this take. This is maybe the best take that's going to come up in this video. A lot of people were very like behind the cope train, and I'll be honest, Gogeta's Strike Assault had me in the first half. I'll be honest, I thought it was wonderful. Obviously he wasn't doing damage once I fought a lot more Gogetas and a lot of the teams began to be formed, but in like the first 2 days of Gogeta Blue releasing, and I even said before Gogeta was even going to release, when they showed the trailers and whatnot, I said that you don't need Gogeta if you have UI Goku, and how right was I about that, especially for the first 2 parts of the anniversary. Let's also go on to talk about how there's an overall bias for Gogeta Blue. A lot of people thought, oh, Vegito's definitely more hype, but they've never released both at the same time. And to some of you guys are surprised, but not mine, I knew that most people would go for Gogeta Blue. If you want to know what my basis is for this, for players above BR70, if you want to check previously, they always released the who's most used, and Gogeta Blue was number 1, Fusing Super Vegeta was number 2. That could also imply somewhat, not directly, that more people went for Gogeta or wanted to use Gogeta. Do you get? So in most cases, it was more like a player bias that was shooting up Gogeta's stocks in the first part. So I agree completely that it was delusional. Now moving forward in the later parts, he obviously shot up in value because they released Ultimate Gohan, who's a purple. Then they also released God Goku, who's a green, who counters Fusing Super Vegito, which decreases Super Vegito's value, but also just increases Gogeta Blue's value because Gohan's purple. That allows him to shine even more. Then on top of that, they dropped UG4, who Fusing GB literally just counters. So he came out as the underdog, literally just not as good, but then later on he became super valuable. So in the part 1 it was a complete cope. In part 2 his stocks were rising very high, and I've showed a tweet where I invested in him right before part 3 started because I knew how valuable he was being in part 2. Then part 3 he really proved his game, and now he's one of the top 3 units in the game. I fully respect GB, I'm not gonna lie. He had us in the first half, but it was mainly because of the devs' plan to release a certain type of thing. And if they didn't release purple Ultimate Gohan and purple UG4, or UG4 the way he is specifically, directly bang right after, the game would be completely different for GB and he wouldn't be as valued in my opinion. So we gotta look at it for all those things as well. But for all those reasons, I think this is a very agreeable take, maybe the most agreeable take we're gonna see in this video. We got one from Jams over here. Says Zamasu is better than Gogeta Blue and this is the best team in the game. Now I do like this hot take. Whether I think it's agreeable, I don't think it is, but I really do like this hot take. I've been using Zamasu a lot. If you come into my streams, I'm always screaming, do not presume you can best Zamasu. I love Zamasu, bro. He's actually amazing because he's anti-Saiyan. The meta is all Saiyans. Fusion Wars is Saiyans, you know. Everybody's running Saiyans in some way, shape, or form. And Zamasu is literally the stopper for all Saiyans. This guy can ult from full health, literally with after 1 strike hearts, you know. Only one stopping him is pretty much UG4 or Fusing Vegito. And even then, if he does a green card, he can go type neutral and, you know, still nuke you. So you pretty much have to be super careful when fighting Zamasu. He has explosive green as well, adding that onto G4. You know, 2 explosive greens on 1 team with Fusing Super Vegito's Rising Rush. Let's look at this team. So me personally, I don't like this team. Not because it doesn't work. If you want to win, I think this team could easily be the best. I think the first half of this take is disagreeable because most people just value Gogeta as yellow over UG4. UG4 is a bigger threat than Zamasu. So to value a red who's countered by also Vegito, who's better than this guy, and Gogeta Blue, yes, Vegito is better than Gogeta Blue because the Rising Rush beats everything. And on top of that, Yellow can still get countered by this guy. But like, come on, this guy's also getting countered by this guy. I think the bigger threat here is Gogeta because of UG4 being the biggest threat in the game. So I'm going to say Zamasu being better than Gogeta Blue isn't agreeable. But would this be the best team in the game? Bench can go any way that you want it. I would say the team, these main three, is agreeable. The bench could change, of course. So yeah, it's like a half and half. But because you said and, listen, this is a vocab, and connects it. So that means it has to be both, you know, like on the equipments. Because you said and, if you said like this is a separate take, I'd say like this is disagreeable, this is agreeable. But because you said and, this whole tweet is disagreeable. We're writing it out. We're writing it out. I like this one. We got a take here from Apollo Godzilla Arc. Says, hot take, but if MVP 17 gets a Plat or a Zenkai bench buffer, he's top 10 again. Easy agreeable. This guy here was carrying Universe Rep on his back. Solo dolo. Before they even got Gold Freezer with his baby. Please, devs, buff me. Buff me, I'm bad. Before Gold Freezer even became good. MVP 17 was carrying the hell out of Universe Rep. He was also backpacking the hell out of androids for a long time. This guy is an amazing support while applying some offensive capabilities, keeping the team alive, cancelling buffs. This is the type of guy you need on your team, and we see Ultimate Gohan, who's basically ripped off his whole kit but became even better. He's an offensive MVP 17. Give this guy a Plat, he's amazing. Give him a Zenkai buff, well, we're gonna be seeing some problems because this guy went the whole of 2023 with no good Zenkai buffs. He has like what? Android 21 free to play and an EX maybe. It's like, bro, they're not trying to feed him because they know the problem he would be. So shout out MVP 17. I think this is very agreeable. If you know his reign in 2023, he's a shadow fire. He doesn't take the spotlight just like in the Tournament Power. Even though he did win it, he doesn't fight for the spotlight. He's just doing his role because he needs to get the job done. He's a very efficient worker, and that's the type of unit you want on your team. I like this take, Apollo. Thank you for bringing this to the replies. I appreciate you, dog. Agreeable take, agreeable take. Okay, we got a take here from DP. It says, this is the worst part 3 meta ever. And I'm not assuming that he's using this image to present the meta. He's just showing, like, he's just showing an image so that the tweet goes through better. We have Gogeta Blue Fusion Warriors basically as a whole. Margin Boot Saga just got kicked out basically. People are still using it on the lower ends. There's no real other teams. It's just Fusion Warriors. If I look at it for what it is, I don't think it's the worst. Because for part 1, if you didn't summon for the Fusion Warriors, you still could have while G4 was there. Also, if they dropped one set of Fusion Warriors, it'd be a different story. While if UG4 was dominating and there's only one set of Fusion Warrior, like he was the only Fusion Warrior that dropped, I'd be like, cool. But like, there's a lot of Fusion Warriors you can get, you know, there's 3. CMZ also got a Zenkai, so technically let's say there's 4. If we compare it to like the 5th anniversary, for example, 5th anniversary, you have Universe Rep or UVB Solo Warrior. They dropped part 2 units and they didn't do anything. So Orange Piccolo needed a Plat. Gammas 1 and 2 were actually good, but nobody was using them. And then they dropped UVB, who was the Solo Warrior of Death, you know, while Universe Rep was just soloing the whole anniversary. I would argue last year was worse because Gold Freezer didn't even deserve those buffs. And with the Zenkai buffs that LOE has, it just made it impossible to fight against. But on this team is like different variations of the same team, you know. But last year it was just the same strict team, Frieza, Lineage of Evil, Universe Rep, either way you're going. And then you'd have the odd, well not the odd, but it's literally that or UVB on any team you can put him on because he was just that good individually. This meta has a lot more choice, I would say. You don't need all of these 3 on the screen, for example, to thrive. So just comparing it to last year's part 3, I wouldn't say this is worse. Me personally, from experiencing those Frieza Force bastards. I hated that crap. That's not even me hate. I do hate LOE in general. But that's not even talking from a hater standpoint of view. It's just the fact that you could still use Ultimate Gohan in this meta. You can use Gogeta Blue with Golden Frieza on movies, for example. You can use Vegito and Gogeta for fusions, and you could still use GT separately. So there's a lot more variety. It's definitely not the worst. Just comparing it to the 5th, I'd even dive into 4th, where they dropped Ultra Super Vegito, you know. I don't even remember that clearly, but just to the 5th alone, it's not worse than the 5th. So I think this is a disagreeable take, you know. Take it how you will. I don't know if people are going to agree with me this one, but I think this is disagreeable by far. Like, it's not even close. I've been trying to blow my nose and it's just not working. So if I'm sniffling a lot, like my nose is like blocked, but it's not. Anyways, Insamus says, Legends is going too strict on Ultra banners. While they want the banner to have a single exclusive unit, we're at a point where we can put someone like Kaioken or Super Gogeta on an Ultra banner. And I think this is reasonable. What purpose is it to keep them so strict? Well, a lot of you guys are not gonna like what I have to say here, but I'm just gonna answer this question first, then I'll tell you whether I agree or disagree with this take. So the reason Ultra banners are strict is because they're the highest rarity in the game. The point is to keep them as a high rarity in the game. The minute you water down that rarity, it doesn't seem as valuable anymore. So obviously they're gonna keep releasing individual Ultras with crappy Legend Limited on the banner to make you chase the highest rarity in the game. It's for them, it's not just about how good they do in PvP, it's also about the aesthetic, the hype of the release. There's all those factors that go around. Money, of course, probably being the frontline reason. So if they want people to spend money, they wouldn't be giving out too much value, because you still have to remember it's a gacha game at the end of the day. So for free to play players, people are screaming at their screens like, no way, I have to be going on an Ultra ban and spending 100k and not even get one copy. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you got to think of it from a money perspective. They want you to spend. Ideally, if you spend, it benefits them, obviously. So there's obviously gain for them to keep it so strict. Now, addressing the rest, he's saying that we're at a point where they can put someone like Kaioken and Super Goji on the Ultra banner. They can do that, that's true. But if they did that, there would be no point of a rerun for the actual banners for those characters. And if we're looking at it, eventually, those banners, these characters are going to get plats and whatnot, which would increase the value of their banners in future. So it'd be like these banners exist as they are to keep the ultra rarity high in value, but it could be an investment for the future. If you wasn't there when they released day one, you wouldn't know how broken they were, and that's it. Every unit's going to get power crept. That goes for Legend Limiteds too. Obviously, the banners aren't great. They don't have a pity system or whatnot, but they're trying to keep the value high so they can earn money. If they don't earn money, the game goes downhill. Everything goes downhill, you know? You don't want the games to get discontinued. So from a, like, if I'm being in their defense, I must sound like a terrible developer here, and probably a lot of you guys don't like what I have to say, but honestly, they have to keep doing this. I'd say they should at least put a pity on the ultra banners, but like, too strict, I can agree with, but the rest is more like an explanation for why he is like not happy about the strictness. So I actually do think Legends is going too strict, but I don't agree with like having multiple ultras on one banner. Not because I wouldn't benefit from it, because I obviously would benefit from it. Like, I have these characters to 14 stars, you know. But also imagine trying to pull for UG4 and you pull Ultra Super Gogeta. Yo, ow, bro, this phone is going through the screen. Oh my god, I'm gonna be mad. There's no way I'm pulling on UG4 and I pull Ultra Super Gogeta. I'm going to be mad as hell. At least when you pull an Ultra, you know it's an Ultra, you know, and it's the one Ultra. But yeah, I can agree they're too strict. So I'm just gonna say this is agreeable. But for the reasons I gave you, if you actually listen to what I said, from their perspective, you have to understand it makes somewhat sense. You should have just said like put a pity system on the ultra banners. That's what they should be doing. That's it. I'd be happy with the pity system, even if it's ridiculously high, like 50k. It's better than nothing, you know. Some people are going 100k no ultra, and they better make it so that I at least get the unit 5 stars still if there's a pity system. I don't want no 0-star ultra. I'll have to banish Bandai, bro, because 0-star ultra is absurd. That's absurd. But yeah, agreeable take, man. Appreciate your words. We got a take here from Darks. Ultra Vegito Blue is currently better than God Goku. Now, before I speak, please, before I speak here, do not try throw biases against me for what I'm going to say. This is also not implying that I'm just about to agree with this take. I know Vegito Blue is my favorite unit ever, but don't call me biased for what I'm going to say. Now let's look at this very, very eloquently, like very seriously. Individually, if we're looking at their kits, I think Ultra Vegito Blue has a better kit than God Goku. Is he doing more damage at this day and age? Probably not if you have them at a similar star level. But the kit wise, I think Ultra Vegito Blues is better. Most people will probably agree with that as well. Now let's look at the meta wise. I think Ultra Vegito Blue also has a better standing. And I'm not even going to talk about God Goku to make my point here. If you look at most people's tier list, and I'm sure you guys can agree from your experiences in PvP, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. When was the last time you saw that guy? And you know how cracked he is. And you think God Goku has a chance. And he's not even on fusions. Flipping heck, man. Flipping heck, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ultra Vegito Blue has a better standing in PvP right now than God Goku. That's not even glaze. I'm dead serious. I've been using Ultra Vegito Blue consistently. That's where my bias might shine through. But when was the last time you saw a God Goku? The only thing I think God Goku has better over Ultra Vegito Blue is his damage output, because he's a more meta relevant unit. He also has explosive greens, I believe, and he blocks AoE green. But, you know, you could argue that either way in individual kit. But output damage and defenses, I have to take God Goku. But if you look at the team thing, CMZ, you know he's a Zenkai buffer for Vegito Blue. And he also has Super Gogeta, Trunks and Mai, who also works well with Ultra Vegito Blue, you know, and CMZ. It's a perfect team. Super Gogeta, Red Vegito, I don't know if I mentioned those guys, so I'm saying it again. It's a very good take. I think this is a very good take. I'm gonna say it's agreeable, but a lot of people won't want to hear it. If you disagree with everything that I broke down, you know, I didn't even mention UG4. I just said, when was the last time you seen God Goku? When was the last time you seen Super Saiyan 2 Gohan? Because you know why. You know why. But you still see CMZ, even though Fusing Super Vegito exists. And I've been seeing Ultra Vegito Blue. I think he's made it to the top 20 most used units. He's 20th. After a year of being out. I don't make the rules. I think it's an agreeable take. Bejito says, among all the green Annie units dropped, initially God Goku was better. Green Annie units? What's he talking about? Is he comparing like all of the anniversaries, like green G4? You know, am I missing any? 1%? Margin Buu Evil? Like, let me read, bro. Premium units, bro. There's literally no one. Okay, let's just assume he's comparing to G4, right? If we're talking just premium units, we've got G4, Orange Piccolo, you know, God Goku. Am I missing anybody? I'm thinking hard. Even those guys, he's probably the best. Okay, I guess so. I guess so. If you fix that narrative, I guess it's agreeable, because the premium ones before kind of ass. G4 wasn't that great on release, but he was really, I think in my opinion, he was good. He wasn't great though. Orange Piccolo wasn't good, of course. I guess so, if you want to put him up there, like if you want to force that narrative so far to give God Goku props. But you can say it's agreeable. Take here from Raksu, Real Raksu. Ultra Gohan 2 is still top 2. Team wise, he's not top 2. I won't be talking about that in detail. I'm not going to. That's just disagreeable. Individually wise, he's still not top 2. UG4 and Fusing Super Vegito, Ultimate Gohan, those three are better than this guy right now. So, yeah, let's just wrap this up. Good try though. Good try though. Hot take. Super Baby 2 is better than Ult Han, just because of his disruption of combos he supports, GT is a top 3 team. He is a counter to UG4. This is from Saiyajin, not Icy Warrior. This is a good hot take. Do I think people will agree? No. Do I agree? Yes. I think Fusion Warriors with UG4 is so dominant, even GT with UG4 is so dominant, that if you can throw anything to counter him, it's useful. And Gogeta Blue has so much stock because of that, and I think Super Baby 2 should be given the same props. The only difference is that Super Baby 2 released prior to the anniversary at a time where people didn't really want to summon on him because the anniversary was upcoming. Now, with the return of Super Baby 2's banner, I think he actually, well, not his banner, but like, you know, he's returned on that Ultimate Legends pickup or whatever it's called. He's going to have some more stock going up, but I genuinely think for the guys that do use Super Baby 2, Gauge Oraga, Maharaga, Super Gauge 2, when he adapts, when his gauge fills, he's a problem, and he's one-shot a lot of G4s. So I think this is an agreeable take because of not just his disruption, he has good output, he can lock you in, and he supports the team for anti-Saiyan stuff. That is super, super good. This guy is amazing. He's actually very good, should not be downplayed. I think better than Otan, it is agreeable, but I'm like very close on the edge. So I'm going to say it's agreeable, in my opinion, but I feel like a lot of people will disagree, but I'm taking it as agreeable. That's just me personally. I'm taking it as agreeable. We got a take here from Obi. People are acting like UG4 is a meta changer, and he's impossible to fight against. But unlike past releases, he isn't hard to deal with, and people are just blinded by his gauge. Now, in my opinion, because he doesn't have endurance or anything to like survive in terms of protection, he isn't hard to deal with. It's kind of like Ultra Vegeta Blue last year. If you don't have anything that protects you like that, like Gold Frieza had the Rising Rush mechanic, and any units that release that have endurance or revival are easier to survive, have an easier job of surviving, you're just easy to take out. However, I think it's the fact that UG4 does so much damage. It's simply the fact he does so much damage. He's doing like 200% at base level. His ultimate can one-shot literally everybody in the game because he goes type neutral off the main too. And if he's last stand, he's type neutral permanently. So it's like, bro, with that amount of damage output, it doesn't matter who you are, you're getting one-shotted. So it's not just his counter. His counter does blind people, I won't lie. So I think for this, it could be an agreeable take, but I'm going to disagree. Because I really think he stopped a whole Majin Buu saga era that was literally going to plunge us into darkness with the way evil Majin Buu was breaking combos, Shin was breaking combos, Ultimate Gohan with his unbreakable endurance because he cancels buffs and he removes your vanish just like that. This guy did a lot single-handedly just off being an overpowered unit of damage, not even having like, you know, cancelling buffs all the time and endurance or revival, like no crazy stuff, you know, that keeps you alive. He just has his counter and he's going to do outwards insane damage in most cases. Once you get out the counter 3 times, it's very easy to deal with him. He's actually like paper mache in some cases. So I'm going to say this is disagreeable, but I do like that you specified people are blinded by his gauge, but people aren't just blinded by his gauge. His damage output is absolutely absurd. Like once UG4 goes, like his main ability, I don't know what the quote is, I forget. But once he presses that main ability and you know he has the ultimate in his hand, unless you have UG4, you know, you better not switch in a revival unit because you're going to come back with 70% less health. Unless you have UG4 with his counter ready, just log out. I'm going to say this is disagreeable though, but I do like this take. The direction you went with it just didn't land because you stuck on his gauge too much in my opinion. Right, cool. We got a take from Isisaro. I don't know if I said that right. Or Icy Sorrow. GB is number 4 in the rankings of all the 5 new premium characters released this annie. He is flawed, Assault Chain in particular, and no Covenant hurts him a lot. He's lucky this is the perfect meta for him and that he is a Gogeta, otherwise he wouldn't have all this consideration. Kinda tired of the coping for the original yellow GB and both times for the OG Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta pre and post Zenkai. It's a good character, but at the first meta shift, he'll probably drop by a lot. Right now, he is the best he will ever be. Let me think about this. So we got Fusing Super Vegito, we got Gogeta Blue, we got God Goku, we got Ultimate Gohan. So I'm assuming the order for him is going to be like UG4 Vegito, or use UG4 Vegito, Ultimate Gohan, God GB, then God Goku. Now, I don't disagree with the fact that he's 4th, because UG4, FSV, and Ultimate Gohan are all better than GB, right? Individually, especially. But because he has a perfect meta, it does make GB look a lot better. Now, he is still flawed, but even with that flaw, he's still better than God Goku. But because he is flawed, he can't go above Ultimate Gohan or Vegito, just because the Rising Rush, and Ultimate Gohan is insane with his Vanish Removal, damage output, endurance, uncancelable endurance at that, unbreakable endurance, whatever you want to call it, you know. So I think this is an agreeable take, one, because at first I read number 4, I was like, wait, like, you know. But like, I think this is an agreeable take. I like this take. Nothing wrong was said here. You're pretty much spitting all the way through. There was a lot of coping, which is obviously, loud voices doesn't mean they're right. I think that's ultimately what you need to take. Just because somebody has a loud voice, or they say something from a point of influence or anything like that, even from me, doesn't mean they're right. And the GB coping was a big thing in part 1, but he does have a perfect meta. He's super lucky. Imagine 2 of the Annie units were red. Do you know how much glaze people will be hating on Fusing Super Vegito, because they'll be like, oh, he's lucky units are red, as if his Rising Rush won't kill anybody, you know. But with Gogeta Blue, he's only able to kill people very effectively because they're purple. Cover Note, not having Cover Note does hurt him, but he gets Cover Note from his Strike Assault. So yeah, agreeable take, I would say though. Downplay is warranted somewhat, but it's still good enough to stand in the meta. But in comparison to all the Annie units, he's not the worst, but he's still not top 3, you know, individually at least. We got a take here from Alan, United Alan, or UTD Alan. UG4 isn't a nightmare to play against. I think this is an agreeable take if you have UG4. Other than that, it's a skill issue. If you don't have UG4, boy, it's a nightmare. So I'm gonna say in general, you know, because you can only counter him effectively with UG4, like very easily anyways. GB does a good job, but not the best job, especially if he's not killing depending on your star level. Super Baby 2 does a good job as well, in my opinion, but it's like you can still switch out and counter, you know. So it's harsh. You need UG4 to counter UG4, or somebody that can one-shot him, you know. So I'm gonna say this is a neutral take, because it depends on who you're using, you know. If you have UG4, I think he's not a nightmare. If you don't have UG4, I think he's a nightmare. That's how my experience has been in PvP, and I think most people that don't have UG4 will also agree they don't even want to play the game. So I'm just gonna say neutral, because it's based on who you have. But in some cases, no matter who you have, units are a nightmare to face. For example, tag droids, where if they start a combo on you, you're never able to escape for at least like a 99 combo, or like Evo Ken in the perfect scenario, Red Beast who can one-shot you, you know. UG4 can one-shot you, but it's not going to be for a blue card, you know. It's going to be an ultimate which he gets one of. Outside of that, he's just countering and resetting the priority, which allows you to play again, you know. So I'm going to say this is agreeable for me, but I'm going to write it down as neutral. Take here from the Locomotive. We got a Fat Cheesecake, that's his at. UVB has a better ult than UG4. If we're talking about the animation, I think there is a lot more hype behind UG4's ult. You know, I do like the idea of the, you know, the flashing between Goku and Vegeta. I think that bit looks better, but I do like the symmetry in UG4's ult, with like how G4's in the middle, because of how the Big Bang attack works. The Big Bang Kamehameha, and then Goku and Vegeta on like the left and the right. The art action is also cooler with the 100 times, 200 times, 500 times, 1000 times, you know. It's a bit cooler than the final Kamehameha. I personally prefer final Kamehameha, but I wouldn't say it looks better, and it definitely doesn't hit harder in this meta. Like that would be just glaze. If you think UVB's ult can hit harder than UG4's, you're delusional. So I'm trying to force this for the aesthetic wise, and I still kind of disagree. So I'm gonna say this is disagreeable in all senses, like not even looks wise, hype wise, and damage wise. UG4's ultimate is just all round better in my opinion. We got a take here from Fallen saying, I think MUI Goku is in the top 10. He can attack after a dodge and it coats nothing. And the fact that he can dodge like Sign without moving is brilliant. His attack is awesome too. This is a very low BR take, but the only reason I wanted to include this in the video is because I like to hype up the fact that if you choose to use 3 Ultra Instinct units on the same team, right? You choose to use 3 on the same team, you can win off damage. You can take it to timer count while dodging the whole game. And the fact that MUI also outputs damage, even though it's not a lot, if you don't have him at 14 stars, it's going to be nothing. So obviously this is a disagreeable take. I'm just entertaining it for the points I want to raise. I think MUI Goku, if he did flip out of combos like UI Sign, Ultra Sign, sorry, then it would be just the icing on the cake. I'm assuming Ultra MUI is going to have that. But the fact that he can just attack you for attacking him is kind of annoying, especially like when I'm doing Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush. I find that so annoying. Like it does my head in. But cool, his special attack is awesome. That's whatever, you know. But this is obviously a low level take. I'm not going to entertain it further. I just like bringing up the fact that if you use 3 UI units on one team, you don't even have to fight. You can just keep dodging the whole game and you can actually potentially win. If you don't believe me, try it. I've done it multiple times. Just dodge this whole game. You just need to be consistent for 180 timer counts. Dodge everything, you know. As long as they don't remove your vanish and you're switching while dodging like perfectly, you'll be fine. And even in some scenarios, you can do combos to kill the timer counts of your switching. So yeah, this is obviously disagreeable. I'm just glazing a little bit. We got a take here from Spryzen. It says, even though UG4 is very oppressive and has a annoying gauge, that doesn't mean other Annie units can't compete. And if a unit is not top 3 or 5, you can still get good results. So remember the connective, right? So that means both have to hit. Both statements have to hit for this to be agreeable. Cool. So let's start with the first. Even though UG4 is oppressive and has an annoying gauge, that doesn't mean other Annie units can't compete. So because he says other, that doesn't include all. So I think all the Annie units can compete except Gold Goku. So we got one tick that's agreeable. I think everybody can say that's agreeable. Vegeta and Gogeta are on the same team. And we also have, obviously, Ultimate Gohan. If we're looking at the 1%, Majin Buu Evil is cooked. Completely cooked. Shin, I see him floating around sometimes, but not really, you know. But if we're just talking premium, that's a correct take. Obviously, if we start comparing old Annie units, like, I don't see Zenkai first Super Vegeta competing, you know, first anniversary of Super Vegeta. I don't see him competing, so this is a bad take. Nah, I'm just playing. Obviously, he's talking about the 6th anniversary. Let's not be obtuse. Cool. That first part's an agreeable take. Even if a unit is not top 3 or 5, you can still get good results. That's obviously an agreeable take. We've got Ultra UI in the top, like, 8 in most people's. That's obviously a still usable unit, but he's just not better than, like, Gogeta Blue, for example. We've got Kid Buu in the top 10. Blue Kid Buu, he can still be used. We have Ultra Vegeta Blue in most is not even in most people's top 10, but he can still be used effectively. So obviously you can still use units that are not even top 3 or 5 and still get good results. I don't feel like this is a hot take though. This is not a good hot take. And for this one, I don't feel like this is a good hot take either. They're just mostly agreeable statements if you actually just read them. So yeah, appreciate it though. I don't feel like they're hot enough, but we can agree. Right, so here we have a take from Galaxy Yaz 09. And this is going to be the last take of the video. I tried to get 20 specifically, but I accidentally went to 21. So cool. The take here, the game is no longer free-to-play friendly. Now, I agree with this take 100%. Originally, if the take was the game is not free-to-play, I would disagree tenfold. Dragon Ball Legends is a free-to-play game, and you can get far without spending money in the game. A lot of people play the game free to play, haven't spent a dime. So to say that you can't achieve things in the game while being free to play is false and misinformation. Gacha games are meant to be free to play unless you pay to get the game in the first place. They're meant to be free to play, but of course there is certain things that you can only achieve in high bars unless you're one, you beat the odds and you're the most luckiest person in the world, or you literally spend money, you know. So ultimately the game is free to play, but that's not what the statement says. The statement says the game is no longer free to play friendly. That means it somewhat caters to free to play players so they can continue enjoying the game. The game is not moving at a place where we're able to keep up even as pay to wins. I'm someone who spends money on the game, right? And I get the digger robots, the mission plan, whatnot. I don't spend bucket loads, but I spend enough to keep me above like 10,000 consistently. And even then, I don't feel like that's enough for me to pull everything they release. I don't aim to pull everything they release, and if you're free to play, you shouldn't either. The game's not intended for you to play that way, but they're actually releasing a lot of stuff. And on the day I'm recording this, they're dropping another Legends Limited right now after the anniversary and the after party. So we're gonna get what? 5 Legends Limiteds in the anniversary, basically, if you include the after party, and 1 Ultra. That's crazy work. You know, releasing back-to-back double LL banners, you have to choose one side, you can't get both, and they're probably the most hype units you've ever seen in your life type thing. I don't feel like that's very, very nice. They're dropping Ultras, it's not even like 3 months anymore, it feels like 2 months, every 2 months. I thought it took 3 months of development. Maybe I'm not matching the times correctly, but it feels like they're dropping them really fast while dropping Legends Limited in between. It's quite harsh to just get into the game when it's in its 6th year and think you're going to stand a chance without spending money. Besides from the fact that if you just save up and just get all the new units, and even then you won't have the bench aspect with Zenkais and whatnot. For a beginner, it's incredibly hard to match, like, you know, what older players would have. Only because I'm an older player, I have a lot of the other older LLs already stacked up. But to say it's free to play friendly, I would actually disagree with that. This is a very agreeable take. The game is not free to play friendly, but it definitely is free to play. You can still get far without spending money, but is it easy? Hell nah. Hell nah, man. But yeah, man, that's going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, this is like a series, so follow me on Twitter if you want to be included in the next hot take video. I always tweet it out on Twitter, put it out on Discord to let people know to go to the Twitter. Go ahead and follow me, Zakashi with 3 eyes, so you can be involved in the next one. But of course, if you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one, man.